Hey everyone, I want to walk through a very quick workflow to analyze and compare adversary TTP data broken down into different categories, such as the adversary's country location, motivation, or victim industry or location. And to do this, we're going to use a new open source dataset that I shared earlier this week, which merges together data points from both the MITRE ATT&CK dataset and a threat actor group dataset maintained by the ThaiCERT. The value of combining these two great data sets is that it now allows us to very quickly pivot from those overall category breakdowns directly into the adversary's tactics, techniques, and procedures, ultimately allowing you to line up your security controls directly in line with those same MITRE ATT&CK identifiers and work on closing gaps between known adversary TTPs and your own defensive coverage. So the workflow is pretty simple. You'll want the CSV version of the merged dataset, which you can download or even just copy and paste from the GitHub repository. I already have it downloaded and I'm going to open it with Excel, and then we're just going to use a pivot table to perform some quick analysis and comparisons of the adversary data. So we'll select all the columns in the sheet, Insert, Pivot Table, and then you can replicate these exact same next steps across different slices of the data set. But for our example, I'm going to begin with the adversary's country location as our starting pivot point for analysis. So we can generate some quick overall counts of the country locations for each of the adversaries contained within the dataset. And then importantly, we can begin to layer on additional elements of the dataset and perform some analysis. So I'll drop in the adversary's motivations as an additional layer to our breakdown, and I'll also sort this high to low. And this immediately gives us some initial insights into the differences in breakdowns according to any of the criteria that we've selected here. So we can see pretty clearly that there are a large number of adversaries based in China that are focused on information theft and espionage. And then we can also pretty clearly see that this distribution differs quite a bit from the other countries contained within the data set. So for example, within Russia, we have a lower overall number of adversaries that we're considering here, as well as lower number focused on information theft and espionage. However, we do see a wider distribution of the motivations for adversaries based in this country as opposed to those based in China. So as an additional final element, we can begin to layer on that MITRE ATT&CK TTP data on top of our existing breakdowns. And this is going to start to look a little bit noisy within the spreadsheet version here, but we can see these pretty granular breakdowns now of adversaries based on their country locations, their motivations, as well as starting to see the tactics, techniques, and procedures associated with all of those adversaries. I think probably a better way to visualize this data is to head back over to the GitHub repository, where I've gone ahead and saved heat map visualizations for every single category breakdown contained within the data set. So coming into country again, we can scroll down, and this is actually going to take you to a live hosted version of the heat map on the MITRE ATT&CK Navigator tool. So clicking in here now, we can see the MITRE ATT&CK TTP breakdown for all the adversaries based in China according to our data set. And we can again compare that against the breakdown for adversaries based in Russia. And I like to keep these open side by side. And if you click back and forth between the two, you can see some distinct differences in the distribution of TTPs for adversaries based in each of these two countries. So again, we've got breakdowns for each of the overall categories contained within the data set. Do keep in mind that this is just going to take one slice of the data at any given time. However, if you come back to the main landing page for the GitHub repo, you can then click into the full underlying JSON version of the entire data set, which would ultimately allow you to slice and dice the data, take as many different slices at any given time as you'd like, and start to get some really detailed granular views of the overall data set. So thanks for the time, I appreciate it, and I hope you'll check out the new GitHub repo.